Alright, we're recording. Continuing Titan Quest 2 for part 25. Which is definitely neat. But one thing has occurred to me. It's funny because I actually did see Going Medieval got an update, because remember I had been doing that until this came out, and then it's like, nope, I want to focus on this because Going Medieval got boring for me. It was boring for me quite a while before. I saw an update today. Oh, is that a significant? Nope, just another bug fixes kind of thing. It's like, that has not gotten a major update since this game came out, and that's 25 weeks ago. Yeah. Alright, I think... Oh, no, I want to do that, then I'm going to, like, come down and, well, I might do stuff in the Enclave. Because that's, like, right over here. Something like that. Anyway. Yeah, I do find it interesting how Going Medieval, it's still in early access. I did look. It just seems like it's, sitting there.
These farmers are...
That's a lie.
Okay.
No. Glaukos' temple, defiled by Ichthians.
No good has ever come from gods interfering in mortal lives.
Sorry, I'm enjoying the moment here. But yeah, so it is interesting how it is still marked as being in early access, but it doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Take your nemesis properly, brutal. Better if the goddess had never heard of you, don't you think?
Okay, that's all. Oh, I didn't realize that was an axe. Or a club, rather. But, yeah, so I do not know what the status is for that. And it's disappointing. That game had potential. You know what? You know what would be great? You know what would be great? Because there's one thing about Going Medieval. Well, many things, but one thing in particular that I really, really disliked. It would be awesome if it turns out they're completely rebuilding things. Because it would take so much to get that working. How I think it should. But, yeah. Saw two things to talk about this week. One is a new developer diary for Titan Quest 2 came out, sharing information on there we go. On what developers have taken away from player feedback. And
Thank you.
What about the crypt?
there. And I'm a little curious about the survey they said they did. And that, what was it, 97% said it had a positive or very positive experience with the game. Which I can believe, I definitely can, but still it's like, I think I'd want to know more about this survey. Not to say I doubt them, but that I do know there are ways to manipulate that data from a survey, both after the fact and even before you do the survey. So I'm just always curious about that kind of thing, okay? Always. And I'm not suggesting that it isn't a good game. I have definitely been enjoying it. Okay, I absolutely have. 97% just seems a bit strong, such that it makes me wonder, like, how did they get this sample? It may have just been on the Steam forums, which it's also, I've been enjoying the game. I haven't been looking at those. So, how did they... if they had done a pop-up in the game saying, hey, would you do this? I don't recall seeing that. Maybe I just don't recall it. But, yeah, so how they built the sample matters. Did it track people who played the first game? Because there are some aspects of the first game still that I would say make it a better experience than this. Like, just the size. I get how, well, yeah, I get this is a fairly large map in here, but Titan Quest 1 still had larger maps. And also you had the various checkpoints in there, respawn points, that I mean, they worked well. And they supported exploration better than what we have now, where it's just if you die, you get you get something that you can respawn, that you can warp to. Okay. So yeah, it's yeah, there's just some differences that I would still like to see, but you know, that is what it is, kind of thing.
It can't be. Titan Iker, here. Careful. Aristino's spirit will never forgive me if something happens to you.
Can you? Okay.
It's.
So yeah, that 97%. Just I would not. I guess I would not be surprised if it would still be positive, but it might be fewer saying very positive if they know and love the first game. And there's also, I still dislike how we're doing this, especially because it's 2 charges. Like, start having these things give you more than that. Like saying, and you get additional charges on there. Same thing with this. I would like to see some improvements there. It might be worth it. Probably is. Where are we at on that? I'm gonna wait though. That's another thing actually that they did talk about was part of the feedback was people not liking how gear is working.
Titan Iker is holding the priestess captive. I fear she won't last much longer. I doubt any mortal is capable of holding that much energy for long.
Come on, do something. There we go. Ow. Okay, that did not take long. I'll leave them here. But yeah, gear was one of the things because it does, and I've certainly experienced this myself, where it does feel like drops gear that, well, in that case, things like this, I can't use it because it wants knowledge. Which is not what I've been speccing. I've been building into because it doesn't seem specifically relevant. Well, it isn't specifically relevant for what I'm doing. Let's keep focusing on the warlock. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm in my. Thank you, everyone.
There. Oh, that's true.
That's the Iker. Absorb its power.
Gods, why did you touch it? Do you even do? You know God and Mark.
Alright. Nope. Like that. This. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing I want to focus on. Okay, I'm going to put the 1 point in here, so I get this. Things better for me to have, well... Yeah. It still is, if I'm the one that if I die, there's a problem. Alright, so that's good. Let's... There. But yeah, so trying to... I do know people are bothered by that or annoyed by that. And they have already made some changes, but they were saying that, yep, they're going to continue to make changes on that. Enemy variety, they're going to try to improve on as well, in which the next content update is going to include the next act, which will have a new location, so naturally there will be new enemies. They're going to sound like they will try to have more enemy variety in that to begin with, but also they will, over time, introduce enemy types to older regions like this, existing regions like the one I'm in now. I know it's not going to activate, I just do wonder what that is there for. So yeah, I'm just trying to think anything. They did say that, and this they might be able to just pull because I'm sure the game does phone home some of this information.
God of Sea.
Let's stick here this though.
You saw this, Nick. It's...
Faithful Nicias, forsaking Glaucus for an untrustworthy god like Pan. I can't believe it.
You never put much faith in Glaucus yourself.
Still, I'll never be so foolish as to worship Pan. Someone has to talk sense into Nicias.
Let me know if there's anything I can do for
you
you.
were right, love.
It's my
He does
duty
have the
to
look of the
serve.
gods about him.
Thank you. We'll be moving on to the Enclave now, but we'll never forget what you did for us.
Yeah, I did say that Warfare is actually the most popular mastery, which I actually find a little surprising. I wonder... Well, Warfare was most, Storm was the second. This was, and the survey was from before they had introduced Forge, which I can believe that's now the favorite. I'm sorry, it is very powerful, okay? I've said it before, I will be saying it again and again and again. They will have to rebalance this to either be lower, a little bit less powerful. But I'll be honest, it's not... Okay. It either needs a small tune down, everything else needs some tunes up, or everything else needs tunes up, because there is also the element that it is also very fun. Like, it might be that this is actually where they do want it balanced. But they would want everything balanced to here, because it makes sure that it's fun. And I do wonder if Warfare, if maybe that's just so popular, not because Melee, as they said there, which, I mean, that's also, games like this, I never much enjoy Melee. Because I just always feel like with Melee, that means I'm always having to put myself into danger. Whereas I like with range, I can hang back. And it's also, if I'm going Melee, then not only do I need to focus on stats that increase my melee damage, I need to focus on armor, I need to focus on health, I need to focus on everything that's survival based. If I go to just but if I go to ranged, if I focus on that instead, then I end up like survivability becomes just based on me. Like I just need to make sure I'm in a good position, like I was not there, and that's a lot easier for me to control. And it means I don't need to spend points in anything else. I can spend it in that. And hang on just a sec. I just looked down and I noticed I peeked on the mic. I had to adjust the gain and even the mic position earlier this week. They could also adjust that, okay? That's a little... Because I did react, but I couldn't get out of there, and I just... It's annoying, the idea that if you want to avoid getting hit by the trapped chests, you just need to open it and immediately start running away. It's like, nah, let there be enough of a time gap after... Oh, wait, no, I didn't need to do one more thing. Let there be enough of a time gap after. Okay. So I need that first. I also want to hit this, though, to make sure I'll get the turtles. so I can do that little mini quest thing. Anyhow. Yeah, I do kind of wonder if the Warfare Mastery might just be popular because it gives the health regeneration more so than melee. Because I personally don't understand melee in these things. Because it just feels like you now need to commit to other things, to getting other things working in there. But then it risks becoming very much okay, now you're just having to dilute what you're doing versus let me just manage my position that handles my defense well enough in range, and then I can focus on just ranged abilities and such. Focus on that. Because if I kill them before they get to me, then I don't need to worry so much. Sorry, I need to get a drink of water. Just a moment. That's... Something else that I heard that I'm not certain about, because I've only heard it, I didn't see anything about it, and I've been busy enough I didn't go looking. I should have. Is at least a rumor that Ubisoft has shelved a bunch of projects they're working on in order to focus on like just the things that'll hopefully make them money. And it's got me in a weird spot as I think about it, because there's some, classic Ubisoft games that I definitely like. And also, I know there's some people that might be annoyed by this. The Ubisoft open world design has never bothered me. I do find those to still be enjoyable. And like the whole always needing to just climb tall things and scan an area. I mean, it's like, what else you can do other than just you climb tall things to look out and then you're drawing out the map? I mean, it's just a more do this one thing and it all is there, as opposed to you just need to, like here, like it's whatever line of sight is what fills out the map, which is fine. That's perfectly functional. But when you're doing a full-on open world thing, it makes sense to have a single point where if you do that, it reveals everything in that area. It just makes some of the stuff involved easier to handle. There we go. So yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't really bother me. But with the whole canceling stuff, it's one of those... I have no issue with the idea of... it's basically, I've got two thoughts on it, and I'm just trying to decide how I want to try to explain them. Starting with one, I don't see how THQ Nordic... Sorry, just THQ, not THQ Nordic. But I don't see how THQ's bankruptcy was a bad thing. Okay, I mean, it allowed a number of IPs, some of which would otherwise have just been abandoned, because THQ wasn't focusing on it. It allowed them to go to new homes that ultimately saw new work with them. Like Darksiders got revitalized. This Titan Quest got revitalized, both with new expansions to the original game and now the sequel. So, I mean, that isn't a bad thing necessarily. So if Ubisoft were to collapse, it's like, and yeah, it's like I don't necessarily see the problem there, because it still is. People want to play good video games, and in theory, Ubisoft still has good developers there. It's other things that have been causing problems for them, probably. People who aren't good developers but are still doing but still the ones there doing the stuff. Smoke? Yeah, okay. But also middle management kind of people that are like, oh, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? It's like, because it has nothing to do with the game? Like, if they cut out those people, that would be good. But if it is a, if they, I'm saying Expedition 33, which I've not played, I hear so many good things about, but it's also, my understanding is it's a little bit of a Souls-like, and I don't enjoy that genre. I mean, there are times when, yes, I do enjoy them. But by and large, I don't. So it's like, I got other things I want to spend my time doing. Come on. You know what? There. But it's like, those were, a lot of them were ex-Ubisoft developers. So if Ubisoft were to collapse, then you've got a whole bunch of people that are potentially very good at game development suddenly needing to do something to make a living, which can be game development, where they just answer to themselves. They go indie, or at least semi-indie. Okay, I mean, say how many studios with THQ just end up going to another publisher, or bought up someone else, or just went full on indie. Yes, some shut down permanently, and then those people had to find completely new jobs. But still, it's like we do know that kind of thing, it can work. I think I want to, well, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I'm only going to have one more thing I drop point to, might be that one. Passives. What is it I have over here? I think it is. I just, well. Yeah. I'll keep doing that. But yeah, so if they bankrupt, I guess part of it there is just THQ's bankruptcy has proven that the industry can suffer bankruptcies of large companies and come through fine. It is odd and very disappointing, this view that, like, too big to fail, right? I was like, it is a very unhealthy view of things, because the reality is, well, I guess that it must be born of, like, you know, the belief that the economy is zero-sum game, and it's not. It's not, but it is, like, the company shuts down, what happens? Well, the people don't lose their skills. The company exists because people have skills. Skills do not exist because a company exists. Okay, so it shuts down, people have to go elsewhere where it's like, hey, your skills are going to be valued and you'll be making money, or you just apply your skills for yourself. So yeah, bankruptcy, not necessarily a bad thing. It is not an inherently bad thing, I think is a better way to put it. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna head back east. And I'm gonna try to go up this way. But the other thing is, it's also, maybe they will be able to pull it out. Maybe they can focus down, fire the people they don't need there and potentially shouldn't be voicing opinions. Because I'm sorry, but there's the reality that there can be people at a company that they're great at the job that they have, or that they may be great at some job for the company, but that doesn't mean that they're great at the job they have. Okay, in like, you might have somebody who's a great producer as far as they know how to build a schedule, they know how to get people to do what needs to be done. That doesn't mean they know what should be done. It's like, I'm reminded of a story some years ago from Gazillion, which that went bankrupt. I don't know what happened to a lot of the developers, because that was not a large company. But they are who did the Marvel Heroes game. I think they did some other stuff as well, but that's the main one I know. Well, one of the heads of the company, he was one of the original developers for Diablo 2. He knew how to make a game and make a good game. And one story that was shared concerning him was, because he was also there as a producer, if he were to be walking around on the floor, and it's like with all the engineers, the developers and such at their desks working, if he were there, walking by, and he, were to see what was going on, he, like any producer, could look at that and be like, hey, do this or do that. But the difference is that because he actually had the background of development, he would sit down and work with you on how to do it.
The locals used to love coming here to pray.
As opposed to some producers who don't have any of that background and just tell you, hey, do it this way, even though it's like, that's not technically feasible, or that's going to take 10 times longer than what is being done. It's like, because sadly, that is a real thing. And it's just, yeah, so you do have people that can be like Brevik, who, I don't remember if I actually said his name earlier, but yeah, David Brevik, as I recall, was his name. They know what they're doing. So they can sit down, so they don't just tell you this is what you should do, or this is what I want you to do. We'll then work with you on it, because they know what they're talking about. But then you've got a lot of people that they don't necessarily know what they're talking about. That you end up just having to have producer checklists on things. It's like, does this actually improve the game? No. And same thing happens with movies. It's like, oh, put this in here because that will make these people happy. It's like translation will make me happy. But yeah, just do this, do that. And does it actually improve the quality of the film? No. Not at all. Because they don't know what they're actually doing. So getting rid of those people is what Ubisoft would have to do in order to resurrect itself. But it's also going back to the bankruptcy thing, because there's one aspect to that does worry me a little bit. Is they got a massive influx of cash from Tencent. And it's very possible that this review of their current projects is in part because of Tencent. Being like, okay, we now own part of your company. What are you doing? Okay, yeah, this stuff isn't sustainable. You need to cut it out. And there is just that concern that with a bankruptcy or approaching that, impending bankruptcy, that you could see companies, this could be the case with Ubisoft, but others, ending up giving up some control to somebody else, such that it's as though they were just completely bought by, like, the bankruptcy without the negotiation. Because technically, like, the THQ with bankruptcy, the assets were sold at auction. Okay, that wasn't okay, we're going to work with this one group. It was no. You're being ordered to sell these things in order to pay off your debts. That's what some version, there's different kinds of bankruptcy. That's what the one that THQ Nordic went through. So I keep saying THQ Nordic. I apologize for that. I am now referring to the current company. They were Nordic Games, and they changed themselves to THQ Nordic because they bought a lot of it.
Piece of the statue of Glaukos. We found the base where the statue used to stand earlier.
And they wanted to demonstrate that they had a lot of the THQ properties, but also that they were going to be respectful of it. And I've been happy so far. Although, I think it went to Deep Silver, but now Deep Silver is owned by Embracer Group, same larger company. And it's just like, can we get... Okay. And I just can't help but think, can we get Red Faction back? Oh, it's a spear. Okay. Oh, no, this is... Ooh, okay. Okay, I was... For whatever reason, I was thinking the one on the right was what was equipped, not the one on the left. There. Yeah, I would just have the concern that you might have a new is Tencent who you necessarily want to be in control of all these things? I don't know. I do not know. And it's just, I do have that concern that with a bankruptcy, a formal company is shutting down. They need to sell things in order to pay off their debts. So it goes to auction. That's potentially a better option than hey, we're just going to get one person to infuse cash here. Now they're just going to own everything, and we might still end up going bankrupt. I mean, it's, I'm thinking about what was it? Assassin's Creed, where they they spun off a company that has some of the IP. Assassin's Creed was one of them. I think one of the Tom Clancy franchises, I don't remember which, also spun off into that one company. And it's like, okay, so and Tencent is a majority stakeholder. Are they a majority stakeholder? It's large enough, at least, that Ubisoft could collapse. That will continue on. And it's just... So, you got the IP transfer of what a bankruptcy would do, but without the auction aspect to it. And I do find that a little concerning. Because maybe there could be a developer, or maybe it would be even internal studios. They're like, hey, we will put up the money. We want this. That, it's like that not being allowed, not happening just because a deal was made that wasn't as open as an auction. So I don't... Ubisoft's fate will be determined in the coming years. Was hoping that would get the shot in.
That shell looks interesting. Perhaps the militia can make use of it.
There's also and this is also a reason why, like, the bankruptcy aspect and the assets being sold off can be a good thing, is that, like I said, with Red Faction, they still haven't done anything with that, which sucks. That's such a good franchise. Well, 3 out of 4 ain't bad. And I understand if people want to say 2 out of 4. I can understand that. I disagree. Red Faction Armageddon is still a good game. But it's I get it. It's not Red Faction Guerrilla 2. I get that. But it is also that aspect of IP holding such that it prevents development that might be desired otherwise. And you also see this with movie studios, by the way, where, like, Warner, since that's one company, that is being sold. Exactly to who is still being worked out, but it most likely will be Netflix. They have a lot of IP that they're doing nothing with. And some of it is just like, how do you do something with, say, the Maltese Falcon? That's not something you can make a sequel to, but at the same time, it is still, they want to make some money. They want to help out theaters. Let a theater run that. Open that up. Everyone will make money from that, because there will be people. I'm saying I'd be one who's like, I'd love to see it in a theater. It's like, if you start putting that stuff in there, that helps everyone. Start putting that back in theaters. You will make some money off it. The theaters will make some money off it. It might succeed at getting enough people going back to theaters to put back catalogs in there. And I'm not talking Fathom events. I mean, no, an actual have it in theaters for a month kind of run. Okay, something like that. It's not a or rather prestige experience like Fathom is. And don't get me wrong, Fathom is good. But I mean actual, hey, it's just in theaters again. You'll make money. You might also help out the theaters and the theater going public. Because if you used to have the experience that it's it's Friday night. I'm going to go to the theater with some friends. What are we going to see? I don't know, we'll find out when we get there. You used to have that. You don't have that anymore. And there's one key reason for that is because it used to be you could trust that there were movies there that you'd want to see. That you could look at the movie poster. You could read the description. And it's like while you're there, watch it and not be disappointed. But that's not been the case for quite a while. And that's for multiple reasons. It's not just that they're making crap movies now. It's not just that. It's also, and this I would blame on the MCU, the Marvel movies, specifically, that they, by becoming a billion-dollar franchise, that made people think that's the new target. And it's not. The billion-dollar movies always have been and always will be the exception, right? Barring like hyperinflation, where it's like it's $1 billion to watch for 10 tickets, kind of thing. Okay, no, I'm gonna have to start putting points into the blade trap because I need that to. I need that to be reliable, more reliable than that. But yeah, because it's. And The Maltese Falcon is actually a good example for this. That's a relatively inexpensive film. Like, if I were to look that up, that was probably made very cheaply, even for the time. And because there's not a great deal there. But you would put that out, and that would make you a good profit, and then that funds the movies that are the larger films that you would hope would be the billion-dollar films. But the billion-dollar films are always the outlier. Okay, I mean, it's the whole normal curve aspect. They started thinking that the target should be the top 1% or even fraction of 1%. They started focusing there, thinking, oh, that's what is the normal thing. It's like, no, that's not the average. The average is the thing that only makes you, tens of millions of dollars, maybe 100 million if you're lucky. Right? But you put out enough of those that only cost you a few million to make. You're making a very healthy profit. And then those films that you end up needing the $100 million to make, you have the money there because it's being supported by that foundation. They've forgotten that, and I feel like video games have also done that. At least on the AAA scale, that they all have to be AAA, and that it's like, oh yes, aren't these great and amazing, and look at all these wonderful graphics, and it cost us $500 million to make it, and it took us 6 years. It wasn't that long ago when it was the average time to produce a game was like 2 or 3 years. Okay, and now it's like 5. Why is it getting longer? Are the games bigger? I don't think they are. I'm dead serious. I don't think that you're seeing games today being physically larger than others. Larger install sizes, but sometimes that's just they don't know how to. Well, some of that I think is them recognizing that storage is cheap, so they don't need to compress and they don't need to reuse assets like they used to. So yeah, some of it would be that. But it's some of it is also just I don't think that they've got necessarily the people there that, well, they've got too many of those producers that are saying, hey, do this, the checklist kind of producers. Because it takes a while to fill out a checklist than to just make something good. And I do have that concern with this Ubisoft news specifically, that it might be set up for failure as far as it is going to fall, but is it going to fall in a way that will be healthy for the industry or unhealthy? I don't know, but I'm not thinking that it's going to be, that right now it's the healthiest.
I'm carrying too much.
Come on, there we go. But yeah, and it's also just going back, because I know I've been meandering with that one. It still, to me, does go back to the whole,
Have you ever dabbled in
too big to fail is stupid. Right? There is no such thing as too big to fail. There really isn't. Because, as I said, the companies exist because people have skills. Okay? And they're applying them in a way that people want them applied, that will pay for that. So let it go bankrupt. Let something fail.
As soon as that's fit.
Because it ultimately will, that the skills are not lost from that, so there will be something that rises from the ashes. Might be a lot of somethings. Okay? And that needs to be respected.
How'd you go dealing with
But a lot of people, I think, are just too afraid that it's like, once you lose your job, oh no, that's horrible. But I think I've told this story before. Was talking to a old classmate. And he was in a position where he would potentially have to lay off a bunch of people. And he wasn't sure if he could do it. And I said very frankly, and I can believe this surprised him a little bit, that I could do it. But I then also explained, because unemployment is not something to be afraid of. Unemployment is normal, okay? I mean, I know it sounds weird, but we consider full employment for the economy at about 2% unemployment. Well, how's that possible? That's not full employment. There's 2% unemployment. It's because it's a snapshot. At any one moment in time, you expect... yeah, let's go up a little bit further and then come back down. You expect there to be 2% where they are not currently employed for one reason or another. Could be that you literally caught them moving from one job to another. Could be that they were laid off. Could be that they were fired, but it's like they're going to get that job the next week. Or even the next day. You just needed to do the survey a little differently, right? At a little different time. So it's like that's normal. It's chronic unemployment that can really, that's dangerous. And that is also a problem because there is a stat. I don't remember which one. It's not a stat that anyone cares about. So I just gotta, I think that's what I want to do. Okay, eventually that is what, but yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's chronic unemployment where it becomes a problem. So there's no more unemployment. It's not an issue. Because if you were actually good at your job, you're going to find another one way or another. Okay? But as I said, it's chronic unemployment. Because when you... HR is filled with petty tyrants, in my experience. That probably if somebody did an honest review of their work, what their quality at fulfilling the responsibilities they're being paid for, I do believe a large number of them would be found, oh, yeah, no, you're negligent in your duties, we're firing you. Okay, I mean, I remember, I saw one thing, oh geez, this was a while ago on Twitter, somebody sharing that he was looking for a new job. His girlfriend worked for a company. There was a job opening there. He applied for it. Never heard anything back. Well, his girlfriend asked about it and was told, oh yeah, our jobs page isn't working. Hasn't been for months. That's why. It's like, how do you possibly tolerate that even at your company? But HR did. The main portal for people to apply for jobs there was non-functional, and they were okay with this. It's like I read that story and it's like, this doesn't surprise me in the least. Like that actually seems almost normal. Yeah, so anyway, I also told my friend though with the whole that whole thing, it's like, if you want to help them, because like you need to lay them off. Like the company's decided that that's necessary. Try to come up with a letter or something, you know, maybe work with your own HR, because there will be somebody there that might be able to help you with it. But work on a letter or something stating, no, they have in fact been laid off. Because, as I said, HR is filled with petty tyrants. They will actually just assume if somebody said that they were laid off, that no, they were fired. They weren't laid off, they were fired. They're just lying to us. I mean, it is actually kind of funny, because they got that whole, you know, like, everybody lies kind of mindset there, which I can understand that, but at the same time, it's like, okay, and, oh, so you're actually reviewing these job applications that technically, it says, hey, these will be reviewed, but you've actually gone through and you're reading all that stuff, right? No, so who's the liar now? I mean, I hate HR with such a passion. Right, because I'm saying, I've only ever been unemployed and chronically unemployed and underemployed, so yeah, I have the experience to know to hate them. Anyway. So yeah, I told him, just, you know, come up with a letter or something to say, no, they were in fact laid off, this is why, and all that, and maybe even say, if you want to confirm, here's a way to contact me, and I will tell you that. That means you have to figure out how to protect yourself from the dishonesty, because it is a dishonesty, of, wait, what? Yeah, collect that, okay. Sorry, I'm just very confused by why... I'm just used to when I'm in the area, it's saying what I'm in the area to do. For whatever reason, I don't know why, at least that's what I was thinking. Anyhow. He's like, you have to figure out ways to trick HR into doing their job properly. And that sucks. That's not where we should be, but it is, and has been for a long time. Because also, like,
His statue. When I knew him, he preferred having friends to followers. He thought statues of him were silly.
But it's like, you know, I've seen things, people talking about how, yeah, you no longer need to try to craft a resume or cover letter to HR. You need to craft it to AI. Because that's who's actually looking at it. It's like, it's not people getting involved until later on. Which is utter nonsense, because I'm pretty sure that they've also found that, yeah, the the AI is incompetent. It doesn't know how to read. It doesn't know how to value things properly. It's also, like, and I'm not even sure this is HR. It could just be a kind of sort of OCR, where I'll put in my resume and it's like, okay, we're going to populate things for an application based on your resume. And it consistently gets things wrong. It will completely skip parts of it. It's like it's assuming that there's one format to how resumes are, and mine is different. So it just has all the like indices for where information is off. And it's like that's what I have to deal with. So now I have to go in and just fill out everything by hand anyway. But it still is, what is the AI making the decisions on what on what I've just told it is the information, or what it scans off the resume. Anyway, coming back to the whole Ubisoft thing, because people that would lose their jobs because of bankruptcy, in theory, it's like that they may be able to they might not hit chronic unemployment, where it's just, oh, you're unemployed, you're looking for a job, well, that's the reason why we're not going to hire you for this job. As I said, HR, petty tyrants. But it's just, hopefully you'd be able to get that job before you hit chronic unemployment. I think that's the last one. Oh no, there's also staff. Well, I can get that staff. Yeah, I think that's a good target, is getting the Glauco statue rebuilt. see how much time you get for that attack, but you get so little for a trap chest. Anyway, cool. But yeah, it doesn't have to be that as bad. You know, don't be as afraid of it as
Always seemed to miss
they want you to think. Change is not inherently bad.
after I got stuck in this charm. We were friends for years, before he gave me to Aristino.
And also going back to, because I know let me, this guy talks.
We're all that looks
But
like
it's also, as I was saying, the whole,
if we bring them to the
you
statue
can end up
base,
seeing
reassembling it should be but a trifle.
IP getting forgotten because whoever owns it doesn't. But if you go to an auction, in theory, whoever is buying it actually wants it. Now, true, that doesn't explain Red Faction, but I think some of that stuff was bundled together. Well, no, Red Faction wasn't quite. Because, like, Red Faction stayed with Volition that went to Deep Silver. But Saints Row, that was also Volition, that went elsewhere. So, yeah, I don't quite know. But it still is that, in theory,
It does look just like Glaukos. The sculptor made the eyes look far too stern.
but still is that assumption that it's somebody who's going, that it will go to somebody who cares versus somebody who just wants it as collateral for future loans kind of thing.
The statue is... What? I am Glaukos will return when I was... But Glaukos saved my... Great blue-skinned Glaukos.
Okay. That's actually decent. But... yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's... I do also wonder, though, with... if Ubisoft went bankrupt, what would be the situation as far as the various studios that they own? How many of them would be able to just be released and do their own thing? How many of them would have to also end up shutting down? I don't know.
Desperate. Okay.
I do think that's an interesting thing to wonder about with it. Oh, and also one other thing that, yeah, that's fair to mention as well, concerning, like when I mentioned movie studios and Warner Brothers, some of that, like the Maltese Falcon, that was back in the old studio days, where everyone was just an employee of the studio. And arguably they should either return to that, or they should fight to get some of, well, technically we are in a state where the same principles that, well, some of the same principles that broke up the studios should also be applied today to break other things up, like Netflix, Amazon, and so on. Because part of it was also, I mean, there was labor issues as well, but part of it was that, like, Warner Brothers would not only own the studio, have all the crew, have all the cast as regular employees, and by the way, they did still, like, trade people. Like, okay, yeah, we'll you pay us this much money, we'll let this person as our employee work for you for 1 or 2 movies. So they absolutely did that. So it's not like that would lock out people moving around. But they also owned the theaters. So if you wanted to see a Warner movie, you had to go to a Warner theater. If you wanted to see a Disney movie, you had to go to a Disney theater. Although I think Disney came about late after some of the studio stuff. After some of the theaters. So they potentially had to have a contract with Warner to run their films in Warner theaters. But anyway, think about what we have now. With Netflix, that you can't watch anything they produce or purchase except on Netflix. Amazon, they produce things, you can only watch it there. It's like, it's the same thing. I mean, yeah, sure, there's nothing stopping you from having multiple subscriptions so that now you can watch anything you want. But it still is but you're being forced to have to do that, just like how you were forced to go to a Warner theater, or go to a Disney theater, or go to a Universal theater, or go to an MGM theater, and so on and so forth. So if they applied that same logic, you would see that stuff broken up. And honestly, I'd kind of like that. Just because I do think that you do have instances of companies like Amazon, that's not a production company, Netflix, technically not a production company either, buying IP just so that they have it and no one else does. And that's not healthy. That is really not healthy for something that is supposed to be creative, that's supposed to be artistic, and it's also supposed to be multi-generational. I mean, yeah, Maltese Falcon, you might not think it's multi-generational because it's not something that gets sequels. But it still is a thing that's a movie that there were people that enjoyed that so much that the idea of having it on VHS, having it on DVD, having it on Blu-ray, so they can share it with their children and potentially give that copy to their children to then share with the grandchildren, that's desirable. It's like there are people that genuinely want or wanted to do that. I think some parents stopped doing that at one point for whatever reason, just didn't recognize the importance of passing down culture like that, so it seems like it stopped some. But it's still, that's supposed to be how culture survives. And it seems like we've gotten away from that, and it doesn't help that you have companies that's what they're doing with the IP, is they're locking it down, so now you got to enjoy it, great. It will never be available to your children. And it sucks. It shouldn't be that way. And video games are also like that. Video games are definitely also like that, because you've got some games that are abandonware, where the company has disappeared. It went bankrupt, but no one ever bought up assets, so it just sits there. Or just the rights are very confused, so you don't know. There's also the issue of music licensing. So you've got problems like that, but it's just, you are seeing things disappear like that, and that's why I prefer the idea with a large company like Ubisoft. Let it go bankrupt, so then the stuff is sold off, and the groups or people that care about it can buy it up, and then because they care about it, they're going to do something with it, even if it is just somebody buys up, say, the Assassin's Creed franchise and ends up getting all the source code, and even if it's like, you know what, I don't have the ability to do anything with this. Hey, GOG, you like removing DRM from stuff, right? Yeah, I will allow you to strip out the DRM from Assassin's Creed. You will then have it available, the entire franchise, because they've got some of the games, but not all of them. But do something like that. But also, we want a copy of the DRM-free version because we're going to put it on Steam as well. GOG would probably be happy with that. Okay, they probably would be. They might be like, okay, can we have it first available on us? So give us a month with just us, then you put it on Steam. It's like, oh yeah, sure. It's like something like that. Or even just have it be hey, the DRM-free version is GOG only. I mean, there are things like that you could do to keep this stuff alive. But would Ubisoft ever do that? No. I mean, for one thing, they're just selling it themselves with the DRM in there. They also have their Ubisoft Connect, whatever it's called now, for all that, because they want to control it all themselves. And I can understand that. But it still is keeping it available is important. So that I could believe some of the Assassin's Creed games, yes, you would, that there could be some parents said, well, yeah, I remember playing this when I was your age. It was awesome. So now I think you should play it. But if it succeeds, if it continues to survive and thrive, that'll be good. But if it just ends up getting transferred without that kind of auction, I don't know. I don't know what'll happen. It's also, to a certain degree, though, I'm not sure how much I care. I'm saying I care in that I want the games industry to be healthy, but at the same time, I also don't care in that I've got a good enough collection of my own games, and also I do know that even if Ubisoft completely shut down, I lost access to every Ubisoft game, which would suck. It also shouldn't be possible, but let's just say that would happen. I got other games I can play too. And I know that there are other studios out there that can get similar games from that might not be the same experience, might be a little worse, might also be better. So it's like it all will balance out in the end, which is also part of the reason why Too Big to Fail is false. It will balance out in the end. All right? It is the fear of change. It is the fear that maybe that isn't true, but it is true. It's like all things change, all things stay the same. It's that whole kind of mindset that is true. I don't know why. I guess some of it is just that fear of, oh no, let's say Ubisoft has 10,000 employees. That'll be 10,000 people unemployed. It's like, yeah, for about a week. At which point it'll then be 5,000 employees. Another week, now it'll be only 2,000 employees. Another week, now it'll be only 1,000 employees. Another week, now it'll be only 500 employees. And just, it'll work its way down because the people still have skills. And some of them, they're getting those. It's not that, oh, they're getting a job at Activision or EA or whatever. No, it's a, hey, we're just going to form our own company. We've had this idea for doing this game, like the Expedition of 33. And hey, we're finally free of the bozos that were telling us to do everything else. So now we're going to do it ourselves. And now we're self-employed. It's like, it's going to work out. Don't be afraid of it. And it's also, I will add, some of those people would just end up getting different jobs entirely. And nothing wrong with that either. Nothing wrong with it. Anyway, that has been more than enough of my blathering, I am sure. And yeah, I shall see you next time.